Evaluating web sources. This is just a quick lesson on evaluating web sources. We'll get more into it later. So what to look for? So just briefly, we're going to look for the purpose, the source, the content, the style, and functionality of the website that we find when we're doing our search. Because we're doing preliminary research, we don't have a lot of time to really dig into what we're looking at. So I just want to give you a way to give it a cursory look so that you can decide if it's worth looking at in more detail later. Okay, we can narrow that all down into 4 categories: purpose, source, content, style, and function. Let's take a look at these. Purpose. Okay, we want to look at audience and considering the source when we're considering the purpose. So think about who your intended audience is. And based on the content, the tone, and the style of the website that you've discovered, is it going to be appropriate with your audience? Is it going to mesh with the needs that you have for this research project that you're working on? When you're considering the source, keep in mind that web search engines often amass vast results, from memos to scholarly documents. I mean, you're going to get a ton of stuff, millions of hits. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the items that you're gathering and deciding if these are the best ones for this point. Don't just take the first thing that pops up. Grab things that look good, that have your purpose in mind. Next is source. When we look at the source, we're looking at who the author is, who wrote this stuff. As we all know, anyone can write for the web these days. So we want to make sure that there's an author or a producer or a sponsor or someone that's going to claim responsibility for writing that content. Okay, keep in mind that the name and a URL, if I had a URL called marksmith.com, that's a personal homepage possibly, and you want to try to avoid things like that. You want to look for websites that end in .gov or .edu for education or government. Okay, and then also make sure that there's not necessarily a mail to link, but an opportunity for you to contact the author if you have questions. Usually, if you cannot contact an author, it's because they don't want to be contacted. It's not their responsibility in their mind to help or to provide the accurate or the current information, and they just want to put something out there. So be careful with that. Next, we're looking at content. And when we look at the content, we want to check for accuracy, comprehensiveness, currency, and links. And of course, with accuracy, we want to make sure that the information presented is true, if it's factual. Websites are rarely refereed or reviewed. They're not like scholarly journals and books, which we will learn to use as well. And that's why we try to avoid using too many web sources. But we do have to evaluate them. So look for the point of view and evidence of bias. You don't want to bias. Make sure there's not a lot of ads. And then make sure that the source of information is clearly stated, whether it's original or borrowed from elsewhere. They should cite their sources just like you're going to cite your own. For comprehensiveness, you're looking for depth of information. Determine if the content covers a specific time period or aspect of the topic, or if it strives to be comprehensive. And then currency, look to see when it was published. Was the website updated recently? And are the links still active? Do they go places? Are the links providing material that is relevant and current and factual? These are the things that you have to look for. Don't assume that the links that sites provide for you are the best available. A lot of cases they're not. And lastly is style and functionality. Yeah, you have to look at the website to see how pretty it is the way I like to say it, because a lot of times a poorly laid out, illogical presented website tells you something about the information that you're going to find on that website. So make sure the site is laid out clearly and logically and is well organized. Make sure that the writing style is appropriate for your intended audience. And if it's a very large website, it should have search capabilities so that you can search within the website. So if it doesn't have a lot of these things and it's very cumbersome and difficult to maneuver through, it's probably not going to be a good source for you to use. All right, so that's it. That's just a quick overview. Like I said before, we'll get more into it later. So that's it for now.